Hey, Vsauce, Kyle here. I'm up north with my family at our cabin, and it's really cold up here. So cold, in fact, that almost everything is covered in snow. Snow forms when water vapor in our atmosphere becomes tiny ice crystals, and when enough of those crystals come together, they fall to the earth as snow. However, once the northern hemisphere, which is where we are located, turns its way back around and ends up being pointed towards the sun again, it will melt and become water. This isn't new water, of course. This is just going from a solid state to a liquid state. But how much water is there? A simple Google search will give you the answer that all of Earth's water is about 332.5 million cubic miles. Now that's a huge number, so I'm going to try and use some math to convert that to moles. Moles is a unit of measurement used to convert a large amount of particles and atoms into a sort of scientific notation as to not have astronomically large numbers when doing equations. About 71% of the Earth's surface is covered in water, and the oceans hold about 96.5% of it all. If all of the oceans, ice caps, glaciers, lakes, rivers, and groundwater, and the water vapor in the atmosphere came together to form a gigantic sphere on the Earth, the diameter of that sphere would be about 860 miles. That's the distance between Anoka, Minnesota, and Memphis, Tennessee. The volume of water would be about 332.5 million cubic miles, as we discussed. A cubic mile of water is about 1.1 trillion gallons. A cubic kilometer of water equals about 264 billion gallons. That's 999 billion liters. Knowing this information, we can set up conversions for three categories: saltwater, freshwater, and ice. Okay, so I messed up. I recently got a new phone, and during the transfer of information from my old one to my new one, I lost the photos of the conversions. I made a mistake. Mistakes, inaccuracies, imperfections. The Hindenburg. The LZ-I-29 Hindenburg was a blimp created by the Luftschiffe Zeppelin Company. Its construction started in 1931 and was ended in 1936. There were 16 gas cells inside the blimp, and inside each one of these was hydrogen gas. Now, the reason hydrogen was used instead of helium was because the current largest amount of helium in the world was in America, and they weren't too keen on sharing it, so the Germans used the next best thing: hydrogen gas. This element also has a small atomic mass like helium, which allows it to float, but it has a deadly side effect. Now, helium on its own isn't very flammable, but when it binds with oxygen and there's a flame nearby, a combustion can occur. Now, when you have a blimp that's 803 feet long and 135 feet wide, flying through the air filled with diesel fuel, smoking passengers, and hydrogen gas, it's not that wild of an idea to think that your ride may soon come to an end. On May 3rd, 1937, the Hindenburg set sail from Frankfurt, Germany to the Lakehurst Naval Air Station in New Jersey. Around 7:30 p.m., the blimp caught fire and crashed. 62 of the passengers luckily survived, but 36 lives were lost that day. 35 passengers and 1 ground crew member had been killed. No one is exactly sure how the Hindenburg caught up in flames. Some say lightning struck it, others say an electrical shortage ignited the fuel tanks. The most commonly accepted answer is that there was a hydrogen leak, and when it bound with the oxygen, there was a flame nearby and a combustion occurred. It'll never truly be known what the real answer is. All that we know is that someone made a mistake. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. This is a quote from Albert Einstein, the famous theoretical physicist and philosopher of the early 1900s. Einstein is known widely for his revolutionary theories such as general relativity and E equals mc squared. But his mass celebration takes away from his most important assets, his mistakes. Before Einstein proved that the equation for finding an object's energy was energy equals mass times the speed of light, many other theoretical physicists thought that there should be an n variable a part of the equation before the mc portion. This meaning that people believed that there was a special number that was missing from the equation. Einstein, however, proved this wrong and stated that E equals mc squared was correct. But this equation only works when you're trying to find an object's resting energy. This does not work when you're trying to find an object's energy that is in motion. This error was later found out by a man named Maxwell Loud, who corrected Einstein's mistake and shifted the focus of the equation from kinetic energy to relativistic energy. Now, I know I just said a bunch of different science terms and I didn't really explain them, but that's not the point of this video. The point is just to tell you that we all make mistakes, whether we are a blimp scientist, a theoretical physicist, or a high school junior who made a mistake for a video project and made that the topic of his video rather than water. We all make mistakes. But those mistakes are what make life as it is. If we did not suffer from imperfections, we would not strive to do better than ourselves and the ones before us. The volume of the mistakes that I make is much more important than the successes that I achieve, because the mistakes will push me to do better. Try not to be a person of success, but a person of value. And as always, thanks for watching.